the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. A loaded program over the next 3 hours and 15 minutes. We'll run down the games for Super Wildcard Weekend in the NFL with former league MVP Rich Gannon. In an hour, Chuck Edel, who was dynamite this year in the Circa Friday Football Invitational. He won the contest going away. He's been on fire the entire year. He's on the program. We'll get best bets for him. Arash Markazi, who covers the LA sports scene on the mindset and where the Rams and Chargers players are at. And Mike Somich, VSiN host with best bets in studio to close up shop later on here on a Friday afternoon in Las Vegas. And the winner of tonight's Cotton Bowl will meet Notre Dame, Paulie, after last night's exhilarating Orange Bowl. And you have some look-ahead numbers here as Ohio State, again, sight unseen before the game tonight, 8.5 in the national title game against Notre Dame. Texas would be 2.5 or 3. And again, if Ohio State goes out and plays like they did in the two previous playoff games tonight against Texas, that number, I think, goes up. If Texas keeps it close and Ohio State wins in a squeaker, 8.5 might go down. Last night was awesome. Will we get a repeat of that tonight?
I don't know, but that's hard to top. 3 ties, 3 lead changes, 31 fourth quarter points, vicious beat on the total, 10-10 in the fourth quarter. I didn't think Notre Dame had that in them. It was great what they were doing at the passing attack, and to rally like that. You get all those attempts and carries with Leonard, but can't go over. Love, you middled that if you were early to the party on his rushing yards under.
Also, one of, no joke, that effort on the touchdown run is as good as you're going to see from 2-3 yards out.
Yep. But it's like Freeman said after the game, they're savages, and nothing phases them. So they've covered 11 in a row, won 11 in a row. So and the special teams issues and the kicking issues and fitting that Jeter wins it and how good he was against Georgia and how he makes the money kick as well. Bizarre move by Franklin, but we got 2-3 guys back there. Drop. What are you doing?
I know.
Why don't you block the kick?
So I have specifically avoided everything today. I've listened to nothing. I've watched nothing. I can only imagine that James Franklin has been getting eviscerated. Have you noticed that? I don't think that was his fault last night overall, though.
Well, it's still 1-15 against top 5
I understand
teams,
that.
but that's also you're in position to win. But it goes back to right off the bat the announcer jinx. McElroy, I trust Aller. You have to be aggressive. Bam,
Yep.
Bad throw, horrible decision, great play.
I thought that was the right move because they picked up. They tried to run the football there on the first down play, and they picked up 13. Now they're in business.
Yeah,
and you got to see if you can go down and score and win the game.
Yeah, he made a horrible decision and a bad throw. I know, I'm with you.
And I would say if anybody, and I know that I saw this on social media earlier the week, hey, the draft stock is really rising right now for quarterback Drew Aller. If you think that, if you're a scout or a draft, go do something else with your career. I'm not going to say he has no chance because he could end up somewhere like in San Francisco and be with Kyle Shanahan and a great roster. I don't want to hear how scouts love him or teams love him or he's going to be a good NFL pro. It's not happening.
No, he got bailed out twice.
He was horrific again last night.
Yep, the first interception in the end zone was atrocious, although that was the right call. It was holding. I didn't like the second call.
Neither did I.
Warren can't make a play on that ball anyways, and it's significantly underthrown. But he got bailed out there, too. So, yes, I'm with you. Great job by the Irish. And I don't understand how about McElroy at the end? You don't want to score here. You take a knee and you kick. There's 20 seconds left. An all-time blunder by a broadcaster. McDonough just might have been like, what is this guy talking about?
It's unfortunate because McDonough is almost on the Mount Rushmore.
Right. Well, what's McElroy talking about? Yeah. There's 25 seconds left, Greg. If you don't want to trust a kicker anyways. If you have a chance to house it, sure. I'm going to take my chances. They're not going to go 80 yards in 15 seconds, right. Greg. My God.
Did last night, and I have to credit Riley Leonard. Uh-huh. Now, I will say that the Penn State secondary, though, also at the same time, they were not great last night in certain spots. But Riley Leonard played out of his mind after, by the way, it looked like he could have been concussed. And I will credit the backup for coming in and looking like he did.
That was huge.
He had gigantic out of him.
Yeah, coming in, slinging it, completing passes, got points on the board. Sure.
So Notre Dame now, after looking like they did offensively the first two games. And again, you take out that 98-yard run against Indiana, they haven't done much. And the thing about Penn State is that team has a ton of talent. That Abdul Carter on the D-line, top 5, top 10 pick, awesome. As I've said now for a month straight, their running backs can carry them to, as far as the team can possibly go. They were outstanding last night. Warren, the tight end, absolute first-round pick. So they have a ton of talent. Just the quarterback is god-awful. The coach isn't any good. Mm-hmm. And Notre Dame, on the flip side, they were really, really, like, all things considered, pretty damn fantastic last night in the game.
Well, they're well coached, and they thought the world
Freeman's
was
awesome.
Yeah,
yep.
They thought the world was coming to an end when Kelly left, and it was an upgrade how it turned out to be. And they love the guy, and they play hard for him. So also a war of attrition. You asked the question, if Ohio State wins, impressive, but can they get out without any injuries? Then I think it becomes the Ohio State Invitational. Just because Notre Dame's still banged up and you're going against a freight train. $1.45 here at Circa to win the title, and outscored their opponents the last two games by 45 points and outgained them by 440 yards.
Yeah.
Texas could not run the ball against Georgia or Arizona State. That's a disaster. I think their defensive numbers are fugazi based on their schedule. So the way this team, number one EPA per play, number one in EPA per play allowed, and the number one scoring defense. If you can't slow down Arizona State, and you can't get much going offensively, in like on the ground against Georgia,
yeah.
I don't think this is going to go well for Texas. And I understand why it's so much. It was over 90% at DraftKings with the handle, but why the public's on Ohio State laying 6.
Well, by the way, Paulie, a couple of books have moved to 6.5 now. FanDuel is at 6.5 minus 104 on Ohio State. Globally, there is another book, at least one or two books out there with 6.5 as well. You brought up the running game. That's my biggest concern tonight for Texas. We had Paul Stone on the show yesterday. He had a great point about betting running backs under their player props for Texas. Here's the deal. Mm-hmm. When you go back again and look, and I started this with the regular season game against Georgia. In that game, because Georgia up front, obviously very talented. Who are they playing tonight? Ohio State up front, very good. In the regular season game, they ran for 29 yards. Texas did, 1.1 yards per carry. After that, it got better for more than a month. Not much better, but it got better against Vandy, 104 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. Against Florida, mauled them on the ground. 210 yards. Arkansas, $139. Kentucky, $251. Texas A&M, they ran for $243. When they played Georgia in the SEC title game, what happened again? They ran for 31 yards, 1.1 yards per carry again for the second straight game against that team. Then it got much better. They almost ran for 300 against Clemson, 6.1 yards per carry. But against Arizona State, that number plummeted to 53 at 1.8 yards per carry. And Oregon, and I'd like to sit here and tell you that Oregon, because they dropped so far behind so quickly in that Rose Bowl matchup, that they just abandoned the run, but they didn't. Dan Lanning, for whatever reason, kept running. I was losing my mind on the air.
Yep.
They had negative 23 yards running in that game. They averaged 175 plus a game before the Rose Bowl. Tennessee had a $152. That's actually pretty good, but they threw for 104 that game. Michigan ran for 172 in that big upset. They threw for 62 yards. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Texas is going to be able to do both things really well tonight.
Yeah, they were all over Gabriel, and they couldn't establish the run. It was ugly. You just talked about it. Klubnik, what is he, average? Okay.
He's
above
decent.
average? Okay,
yeah.
He lit him up. They couldn't stop him. Levitt lit him up, couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
So now here comes Howard and Smith and all these weapons that they have in the highest power-rated team in the nation. So if you can't stop these guys, it's not going to go well tonight the way they're playing and how they've been dominating Tennessee and what they did against Oregon. So, But then again, mistakes can happen. You can come out, be sloppy, beat yourself, and can you bring your A game every single week? The comparisons, you said it, Power said it. This could be UConn, who went 12-0 straight up in ATS 2 years in the tournament. Maybe Ohio State has it in them. But if that Texas team shows up that we've seen the last couple playoff games, it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, this is from Lance on X. You can tweet us at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Paulie Howard. Everyone was disrespecting Ohio State. Then they rolled Tennessee. Revenge game, they rolled Oregon. Now they are being crowned as national champs. They will lose that edge, and Texas will play and win it all. Take the points and some money line.
Won't do it. But I don't trust Sark either. I don't trust Sark in big games.
Right.
Can't get there. Outcoached against Washington and DeBoer. Horrible job when he was the OC at Atlanta. Couldn't get the ball to Julio Jones. They called him 7-win Sark at Washington. Had his issues at USC. I don't want any part of Sark in a big game. Outcoached by Dillingham. Could have lost to Clemson at home. Don't like it.
Do you trust Quinn Ewers if he has to go out there and make several plays tonight?
I know. He's like $2 to throw an interception.
Because, again, I don't think, based on everything we just ran down, I don't think Texas is running the ball effectively in this game tonight. Then it's going to come down to him.
Well, the wide receivers are good, but yeah, he's got to be perfect. I don't know if he can do that. Big news, we're back, Sirius XM, January 17th. VSiN's 24/7 programming will be available, Sirius XM, channel 158 in the Sirius XM app. And we'll produce a new show for Sirius XM by Maher and Sweetelson. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, every weeknight, 7 to 10 Eastern, Sirius channel 82. January 17th, VSiN channel 158. We're throwing a lot at you there. The important thing to remember, channel 158, January 17th, Sirius XM.
A week from today, you can listen to the entire network there. Okay, so a lot of us here on the network lost the under last night in that game, by the way.
Ridiculous.
You know, sometimes games can take on a life of their own, and that's exactly what happened last night. Like, nothing happened in the first half, as we were hoping for and kind of expected. That totally flipped. And then you got big drives after big drives or big play after big play in the second half.
And you couldn't get a red zone stop either.
No, turned into a total shootout.
Yep, to put the field goals over and also to help you out with the under. Just touchdown. 31 fourth quarter points. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
10-10 in the fourth quarter.
Former NFL MVP Rich Gannon makes his weekly appearance with us coming up next. What is he strong on this weekend? We'll ask him on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
More NFL here. We will discuss the two teams based in Los Angeles. Arash Markazi joins the program here. He is founder and CEO of the Sporting Tribune, and he has been a must-follow on social media this week with the ongoing fires in Southern California. Arash, thanks for the time today. How you holding up?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, it's been a tough week so far here.
Well, you've been there for obviously several years. When you saw the images of what was coming out of that area and some of the photos that you took, and you were talking about what burned down, I mean, how devastated is that?
It's surreal. You know, we've had a lot of pretty major wildfires in Los Angeles, but this is obviously just in scale, in scope, and the really institutional locations that it took down. I mean, you go down the list of places that people have probably been to if they've come out to Los Angeles, whether it's Moon Shadows or the, wine bar. Basically, the entirety of the Pacific Coast Highway is gone. The homes there, the cafes, the restaurants. It's just so sad. And so it's going to take years and years and years for us to recover from this. Again, we've never seen anything like it. It was really sad on Tuesday seeing the fires. And the one thing that was different this time is that there was no support. There was no water. There was no firefighters. There was nothing. It was just, and so it continued for basically a day before they finally began to control it. But even the Palisades fire, guys, I mean, that's at 9% containment now. I mean, it's really bad.
Yeah. And the perfect storm, too. 80 to 100 mile per hour winds, no rain since October, and hardly any rain in the last 8 months.
No, it was just, it was terrible. Like you mentioned, it was the perfect storm, and it's something that we really braced for. Again, the winds are supposed to die down, but they expect it to pick up again at some point over the weekend. So we're just I'm hoping for the best at this point. But when you just drive around, and my parents live in Calabasas, I have friends in the Palisades. I mean, it's so sad.
So I think your tweet yesterday really did a good job of putting this into perspective. And that is, Manhattan is 14,604 acres. The Palisades fire so far, and this was as of yesterday, burned almost 3,000 acres more, which is just, it's one of the most beautiful parts of the entire country, and it's gone, wiped away. So do we have any idea? I know J.J. Redick's home, unfortunately, burned to the ground. Do we have any idea, like the players of these two football organizations, the coaches, how many of those individuals were affected by this?
We don't have that list. I mean, it's like you touched on it. I mean, it is one of the most picturesque parts of not only Southern California, but probably the world to live in. So, we heard about the number of celebrities who live there. I mean, we don't have like a breakdown of all the players and coaches who are there. I had heard, Sean McVay lived around there. I don't know if he maybe moved because their practice facility moved. But yeah, I mean, that's when it really hits home, is that when either like the players or the coaches, they've lost their home. And again, Kawhi does have a house up at the Pacific Palisades. That's why he was the one player who, when the team was in Denver, left because his family was evacuated. And from what I've been told, his house did survive. But yeah, I mean, this is really a tough time.
How about the practice schedule and the horrific air quality and the Rams having to deal with that, and also the Chargers? And we were talking about the comments earlier from Bosa that, okay, now I'm leaving to go play a game. I hope when I come home, my house is still there. What was it like with this hectic week, and what if they got anything accomplished in practice?
Yeah, I mean, that was the hardest thing, is that the air quality was so poor and you could see it in the skies. And then when the Rams were practicing yesterday, the Kenneth fires broke out. So you saw those clouds of smoke and the players left, and they didn't talk to the media yesterday as they kind of like ran home to check on their families. So, the both of them had truncated practices because obviously if you're in Los Angeles, you don't have an indoor practice facility. A slight change to their travel schedule. The Chargers left yesterday to Houston, so they are there right now for their game on Saturday. The Rams are leaving today to Phoenix. Obviously, that home game got moved to Glendale, so they're going to be heading there. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like these players and coaches have so much on their minds, but like, go by the way, go play a playoff game.
How do you handicap it?
It's unfathomable. Yeah.
I know. What do you think? Is it too much to overcome? Is it too much of a distraction and I'm focused on home? Or do you think that the Rams and Chargers rise to the occasion?
I think the Chargers have a better shot. I just like that matchup for them. Once Cincinnati won last week, and the Chargers had the ability to move up to that 5 seed and play Houston, I like that matchup for them. And again, for the Chargers, nothing has changed. Again, they were like always supposed to go out to Houston. For the Rams, I just feel like this is too much for them. I just feel like for the Rams, this was supposed to be a home game. They were supposed to have a practice today, and their schedule just totally got thrown into, the grinder here, where like now they're off to Arizona. They're going to be on the Cardinals team plane. They're going to be practicing at the Cardinals facility. They're going to be playing at the Cardinals stadium. Little fun tidbit, I guess. I don't know. I mean, they are the designated home team, but because they are familiar with the visiting locker room, they will be using the visiting locker room. It's just, I don't know. I just think for the Rams, not that it was going to be this was going to be a tough go to beat the Vikings. I like their chances to win a close game if it was at SoFi, if they were in their own beds, in their own practice facility. I just think it's a little bit too much for them. And so that's the one game that I think will change because of all of this.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest here is Arash Markazi, founder and CEO of the Sporting Tribune. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. So as someone who's attended several of these games, both of them are Chargers home games, Rams home games, the common narrative about the Chargers has been, well, they don't have a home field advantage anyway. And I've heard the same thing about the Rams this week as well. Like they have no home field advantage. Is that true? Because when I watch Rams games, it feels like it's a little bit louder when the home team is doing well compared to when the Chargers are at home.
So I think we've touched on this before, but a unique thing happens when they play a weeknight game. And so what I really loved for the Rams, again, prior to all this happening, was when they said this was a Monday night game, I said, oh, that's perfect for the Rams. Weeknight, again, you're not really going to have that opposing team, fly in on a Friday or a Saturday, enjoy the weekend, Sunday, 1 p.m. kick, they hop on the flight back to school, back to work. A Monday night game is very much a local crowd. So really, if it's the Chargers or the Rams, whether it's a Monday night or a Thursday night game, that has very much a local crowd for them. It's been very much a home crowd. That's not going to be the case now. And I'm not, again, you're going to be, and again, I tweeted this out, like they released the tickets pre-sale to the Rams season ticket holders. I've been told that a lot of those fans are ticket brokers, so a lot of them will be reselling their tickets.
Okay.
Again, there is perhaps no home team, though, to your point. There's no home team better prepared to have a home game that feels like a road game than the Rams. If they were playing the San Francisco 49ers like they did in the conference championship game a couple of years ago, it felt like a road game. Again, the majority of the crowd is rooting for San Francisco. So they're, in a weird way, they are used to this.
When do you think they can play games there? The Lakers play the Spurs there tomorrow. They're supposed to. The last game was canceled. The Kings game was canceled. Do you have any insight there?
It's interesting, guys. I talked to Kevin Demoff, the president of the Rams, and he really kind of shed a new light on this. He said the reason that we moved the game when we did is these people in this community that have been displaced from their homes, they need these hotel rooms. Like we are not in a position to have the Minnesota Vikings and even the Rams before a home game. They will stay at a hotel. So they had 500 hotel rooms booked. They said, no, we got to release that to the public. The other thing is when you have an event, whether it's 20,000 or 60,000 or whatever, you need first responders there, right? You need a certain number of police officers and people there. And they said, we can't have an event where these people are taken away from their jobs right now to work a sporting event. So I've reached out to the Lakers. I've reached out to the Clippers. We have gotten no confirmation from them. But guys, I mean, again, a unique thing is supposed to take place on Saturday and on Monday. This is the first season that the Clippers have their own home. So they are both scheduled to play at the same time on Saturday and on Monday. So if both games are conceivably sold out, that's 40,000 people that you're now going to have at a game, and hotel rooms and police officers and people are supposed to work that game. I don't think it's the right call. We have not gotten confirmation that they're going to move it, but they probably should.
Yeah, Rash, that was awesome. You've been fantastic on social media all week long, and people need to follow you on Instagram and Twitter at the Rash Marchese. Thank you. Be safe, okay?
You guys are the best. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Up next, we will get into the NFC games, ladder bets, and which team are you going to regret making the case for the most this weekend here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. What a weekend. We ran down our best bets. More coming at you right now. VSiN host Mike Somich joins the program. He is in studio this weekend. His show over the weekend is called Ready, Set, Bet, Saturday and Sunday nights right here on VSiN. Good to see you again. How are you?
Doing good. Happy to be back in Vegas for the playoffs. You're going to go to the check cashing ceremony. I should say the check distribution ceremony tonight over at the D. Congratulate all the winners in the contest that we've been following all year long. And now we get to roll out into the playoffs. I'm excited to get this going.
All right, let's begin with the game. First game on the board this weekend. Chargers. We all know what they're going through right now along with the Rams, but they're on the road tomorrow. Early afternoon game against the Texans. And on the board, Mike, I don't see a 2.5 anywhere now. They're 3 pretty much painted across the board. Total now down to 41.5. Go ahead, take it away.
I did not see the total got popped again here because when I sent over picks around 1 o'clock, this was sitting at 42.5. We talked about it as high as 43.5 on Ready, Set, Bet last Sunday. Yeah. Both Matt and I took a piece of the Chargers minus 2.5 last Sunday. It's tough to lay the full 3, especially with the situation here for the Chargers. It's going to be a third straight road game for them. And then you've got everything that's going on currently in Southern California with the fires. So hard to lay the full field goal here with the Chargers. But when I look at this, I would rather take that side simply because of the advantage I believe they have at coach and quarterback. I like both the offensive and defensive coordinators and the head coach more on the Chargers side. I like the quarterback situation more on the Chargers side. But to me, the way to attack this game, and I would still play it at 41.5. I would see if we can get a 42 before game time, but I like the under quite a bit in this spot. Both of these teams run first offenses. They want to try and establish that run, especially the Texans with Bobby Slowick. What we've seen from him with runs above expectation on first and second down, really setting setting up longer down and distances for the Texans there on third down. And the Chargers team is a run-first offense. Now, I believe that the Chargers are more likely to break trend and try and throw the ball early, but I still think that this total is a little bit high here, sitting at 41.5. I thought this should be sitting closer to 41, 30, 40.5 when I was making my numbers. So I played the under 42.5. I would hunt out there and see if you can get a number, because this has dropped a full point here in the last couple hours.
This could be you could have 5 field goals. I could see that. Long drives end in 3. Conservative coaches, once they get in a red zone. You're from Santa Barbara. You know numerous people who had to evacuate. What do you think of what the Chargers and Rams are thinking right now?
It's got to be tough. I mean, the Rams facility, there was a Woodland Hills fire that was caught right near the Rams facility yesterday. Fortunately, that one is not burning out of control, so that probably not as big of an issue. It's got to be tough for them to just be able to focus, right? That's the biggest issue. I think the Chargers almost a benefit here, knowing they were going on the road, knowing they were getting out of there. The majority of the area that both the Chargers and the Rams live in is not one that has had any evacuation orders, had any issues with that. So I guarantee they have friends that they do know that are evacuating. I mean, I lived in Santa Monica for 10 years. I have 6 friends that aren't in their houses right now.
Oh,
so
God.
You are going to feel some of that.
Wouldn't you rather be at home, though, or at least I know what's going on?
Yes.
But in terms of I'm on the road and I don't know what's going on with my house.
Yes and no. I feel like it's almost easier to separate yourself once you leave that area. And you can just be like, okay, I have to focus on this. This is a business trip. Go and get the job done. All of that leads me to not really wanting to take that 3 with the -3 at that point, because there are a bunch of extenuating circumstances, and why I would lean toward the under there. This Rams-Vikings game, as weird as this sounds, I think it's almost an advantage for the Rams that this moved, because Minnesota would have been, 75-85% of that stadium on Monday night. A lot harder for fans to switch their travel plans and end up in Arizona and go through the reticketing process versus having to just go to LA. So I'm interested to see what the stadium is going to be like, because I think this would have been predominantly Vikings fans for this playoff game.
Would you consider right now, that's the Monday game again, all things considered, now that it's in Arizona, would you take the Rams plus 8.5 on a teaser?
I think we have 3 good teaser options here. I do think Rams plus 8.5 is a live teaser number. We've also seen the Ravens number drop from 10 down to 8.5. I think you could play Ravens minus 2.5. And you also have Bills sitting there at 8.5 that you can take down to 2.5. So 3 viable teaser options. For me, it would be Bills and Rams. I would leave the Ravens out. I think there is I'm not going to say they're going to lose, but that is the game I am the most squirrely about of the big favorites, is the Ravens falling.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
Lamar?
It's a combination of what we've seen from this Ravens team from an offensive perspective, and then the Steelers' ability to be able to find ways to get around, get wins in these type of spots. I realize it's a playoff game versus a regular season game, but this is 2 rivals that know each other very well. This is Lamar, who has struggled against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that is very, very good against running quarterbacks. They can take that piece of his game away, and then all of a sudden the pressure starts to mount on that side. I think it's going to be tough for Bo Nix to go in and win. I think we'll talk about the Eagles here in a second. This is the one game where I would be the most worried as a big favorite.
Did you grab the 10?
I did not grab the 10. I have not bet this game from a side perspective, although if it would be Pittsburgh or pass for me.
Any props in this game that you like? We were making the case for Freiermuth, or you want to go back to the well with Pickens?
You can't quit him, huh?
I don't dislike the Freiermuth play.
Yeah.
He has really stepped up, and we saw it was just Pickens, long balls, and then some runs. I actually ended up playing 2 separate props in this one, so I'm going back to Pickens. If you watch the game, so he got 0 catches last game, right? And I've been playing this longest reception over for 9 straight weeks.
It's a 10-1 over until the
right.
Bengal
So
game.
look, we lost one. That's fine. We're still up over the long term playing this. He's at 25.5 this weekend. I think that you have to play the over on this one. It's not like he didn't have the opportunities week 18. He just didn't catch one week 18. He had 3 balls thrown to him over that 30-yard distance, ended up 0 for 3 on those. He'll get his opportunities. I'm betting more on the chance that he gets those passes. And if he gets 3 a game, I'm willing to take even money. He catches 1 of them. So we'll go over 25.5 longest reception. And then give me Jaylen Warren, the running back for the Steelers, over 19.5 yards. If you look at game script and possibility, if you do believe the Ravens are going to be ahead, Warren is the running back that's going to be in for the Steelers, and he is one that they will use out of the backfield. It's a Ravens team that struggles every now and then against those running backs catching passes, so I'll take Warren over 19.5 reception yards as well.
Yeah. What you said about Pickens is how I bet 3-point props in the NBA. If I know a guy is going to take, or he's trending where he's taking 12, 13, 14 threes a game, and they put a prop up of like 2.5 or 3.5, and he shoots 40%, I'm taking my chances every single time with that.
Well, that's what props are. It's opportunity, right? You're betting on the opportunity. It's why we talk so much about targets when you're talking about wide receivers and their props. It's why you're talking so much about carries when it's NFL running backs. Is how many opportunities are they going to have to make what you need be an outcome? Or if you think their opportunities are limited, to play the under, right?
Sure. Yep.
And in this case, if Pickens gets 3 opportunities a game at downfield throws, and I'm getting -110 that he'll catch one of them, yeah, let's go to the well.
That's sound logic. It really is. Is it going to be a bloodbath in Buffalo on Sunday?
There are routes where this is a competitive game. I'm just not sure it's going to be all that competitive. Look, Denver has a very good offensive line. They have one of the best pass block offensive lines, one of the best run block offensive lines, and this Buffalo defense is gettable. The big question to me is Denver's defense going to be able to slow down Buffalo at all? I lean toward the over here, which is sitting at 48. I think that's a reasonable play because if you believe Denver's going to score, and I am someone who believes Denver's going to score, I think you kind of like the over because it feels like it's inevitable that Buffalo's going to put points up. I decided to attack this game a little bit differently, though. I went Bo Nix passing props. Give me Bo Nix over 220.5, and then let's ladder him 250 plus passing yards at +165 and 275 at +300 with a simple idea that Denver's running back room is awful. They cannot get any consistent run, and they're getting pushed. So it's not like the line isn't doing it. It's the running back room that's the issue. If I'm Sean Payton, and I'm looking at how am I going to attack this Buffalo defense, it is short passes early. It's trying to beat this secondary. It's trying to control drives by throwing the football. All of that builds up for Bo Nix to throw the ball and be able to get over that 220.5 mark. And then let's look at what the possible game script is here. Let's say they do try and run and it doesn't work. All of a sudden, Buffalo's up 14. Great. Give me those Bo Nix passes because that also gets you up over those passing yards of 220.5. So to me, I feel like there's multiple routes where he has the opportunity to get over this number.
Okay, you teased it earlier. What do you state your case for the Eagles?
I love the Eagles this week.
Love the Eagles.
I went back and looked. My third biggest bet of the year is Eagles -3.5. I bet it immediately when it was released. Okay. I completely disagree with that opening number. We'll just look just from a numbers perspective. This game was 1.5 when it was played in Brazil. We'll go to home field. That makes Eagles -3, right? Now let's talk about what's happened since the start of the season. I have the Eagles upgraded 3.5 to 4 points. I know people who have him upgraded more than that since the start of the season. I have Green Bay as 0.5 better. So that's a 3 to 3.5 point difference, plus the 3 we're at before. You're at 6.5 before I even start talking about the fact that it feels like this is a defense for Green Bay that is disappointed. You've got wide receiver injury issues for Green Bay. I thought this line should be 6.5 when it came out.
Really? Okay.
So I played quite a bit at 3.5. I would still play it at 5. 5.5 would kind of be my cutoff. Because once you get to -6, the advantage from 6 and 6.5, not a big difference. But I think the Eagles are going to roll this weekend.
I don't disagree. I think it's a bad matchup for the Packers.
Yeah. Okay.
And I also don't know, what they're saying all the right things and Love looked good, I guess. But has he looked that great on the field? I mean, man.
It feels like we're still getting Packers prices from last year and what we saw down the stretch and what we expected.
Sure.
They haven't really, they're the 7 seed. They
Favorite of Minnesota.
Right? They haven't really lived up to what we were expecting. And Love has not become the top 5 quarterback people were projecting.
There you go.
And
totally
they're still
agree.
being priced like it.
Yeah. People expect the same thing to happen from last year, this season with them. And I just don't see it happening. They were playing a lot better football, I think, down the stretch. Anyway, we'll continue. We'll get his thoughts, Mike Somich's thoughts on the Commanders, Buccaneers, and tonight's Cotton Bowl as well here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We roll on here on a Friday with VSiN host Mike Somich, his show on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday evenings, called Ready, Set, Bet on VSiN. Also calling him now the NHL Kid. We'll get a couple of NHL plays coming up from you in a minute. I'll give you this first from VSiN's NHL betting expert, Jonathan Davis. Tonight, Utah first period, -0.5 goal. Georgiev going for San Jose with his teams this year, Sharks and the Abs. They are combined 119-3 in the first period.
It's not good. I love that Blackwood trade that the Avs made. They've been a different team since they got there. You get that we were talking about Stanley Cup numbers on money moves. And the Avs at 13-1, Las Vegas Golden Knights at 12-1. The two that I targeted, I think are still valuable in the market.
Okay, so hockey plays in a minute from you. What do you think of the Sunday night game that we have here between the Buccaneers and the Commanders?
I'm going a little crazy here from a prop perspective.
Okay.
This is one of those games I really like the prop side of it. I was hoping this game would get totaled at like 48 when it came out. It came out at 50.5. I think that's about right. I made this game just over 50. I would lean toward the Bucs, but at 3, again, I think the spread is right around correct. But I do think there's a couple specific pieces that jump out from a prop perspective. So first off, Jalen McMillan. I think we've talked about him, 3 of the last 4 weeks, something like that.
He's been great.
Over the last 5 weeks, he's gone for at least 50 yards. He has 7 touchdowns in those 5 weeks on just 24 receptions. He's clearly become the number 2 wide receiver for this Bucs team. And when you look at the matchup and what the Commanders are going to want to do defensively here, you got to assume it's Lattimore and Evans. They're going to man up. And then if I'm the Commanders, I'm selling out to stop the run.
Yep.
I'm saying, okay, make it Otten, make it McMillan to have to beat me. Great. Let's go McMillan over 49.5 receiving yards. The number he's, like I said, eclipsed 5 straight games. I also played McMillan over 49.5 and an anytime touchdown. That's plus 300 when you tie the two of them together. So like McMillan over receiving yards and his over receiving yards and anytime touchdown together. And then give me Jaden Daniels here over the 46.5 rushing yards as well. I always talk about how in high leverage games, you see these quarterbacks take off much more often. If you look at what Daniels has done since the bye, he went over in 3 straight games. Week 18, he ends up going under. His prop was at 47.5, I believe it was, against the Cowboys. He only played a half of football, 4 carries, 27 yards. So on target to go over before he got pulled. I think he's the key to Washington being able to run the football. This is a Tampa defense that has given up around 60 yards per game over the last 5 games. That means it's time for Daniels to move it with his feet if they're going to be able to run the football. So give me McMillan over 49.5, McMillan over 49.5, anytime touchdown plus 300, and then Daniels over 46.5 rush yards here as well.
What do you think it's got to be? It's how it's got to be.
What do you make of Mayfield's rushing prop? Around 17.5, 18.5. Man, he was taking off again a lot last week.
Mayfield, Nix, some of these guys that are going to be sitting in the teens that are quarterbacks in these high leverage games, they are going to run, especially if they're underdogs. Like Nick's prop, I think, is attractive too because he's an underdog. You're more likely to get passing scenarios, which means he may take off a couple times more than usual, and then you're able to get that opportunity to get those rushing yards over. Mayfield's been doing it all season. It's either extending plays or taking off and running with the football. I did not personally play it, but I like the idea behind these quarterbacks that are a little lower numbered rushing in the playoffs specifically.
Okay, we have another big college football game tonight, the other semifinal. The entire world here at VSiN, I think, was on the under last night, and I still don't know how it went over, but it did. Alas, we move on. Do you have a play on Texas and Ohio State?
I do. So I thought this was a very difficult game to bet from a side perspective. So if I look at my year-long numbers, it's an easy Texas bet, right? 6 is too high. It should be around 4. If I look at just the last 2 games, 6 is way too low. It should be Ohio State -8. And so you really have to decide, do you believe what we've seen recently, or do you believe the full breadth of data? I'm more lean toward believing what we've seen recently, because if you look at Ohio State on the defensive side, we've seen a shift from a single high safety to 2 high for them. And on the offensive side specifically, the way they're attacking in the 2 playoff games is completely different than what we saw during the season. Their offensive line has been significantly better during these 2 games as well. If you look at the pressure rate, it was just 15% against Tennessee, 25% against Oregon, 2 of their best games of the season. If you don't heat up this Ohio State offense, they're going to be able to find these 15-yard, 20-yard routes, and that's specifically what Texas struggles with. So I think Smith has a big game. I think Ohio State has the ability to win this football game and cover. But I don't have a big enough opinion to put a bet in there, especially since there's a lot of pro money that keeps rolling in when we get to 6, 6.5. And there's a lot of public money that's rolling in when we're here at Ohio State. So I passed on that piece of it, but I do like what we've seen Ohio State defensively and their adjustments they've made over the last 2 games. So I took the Texas team total under. You can get that at 23.5. There's some places around 22.5. I think that's the best way to attack this football game. If you like Ohio State, you're able to still win without them covering. I think it's the Ohio State defense that gets the job done tonight. So I'll take Texas team total under 23.5.
All right.
What would you do, Ohio State, Notre Dame?
I already bet Ohio State.
Yeah?
I bet Ohio State last night, -7.5 against Notre Dame, and -8, I think it was, against Penn State. So the Penn State bet is now void. But I thought that when you looked at the numbers, okay, this is Texas at home, right? They're in Texas, and Ohio State's a 6-point favorite, and yet Texas would have been favored by 3 or 3.5 on a true neutral, against the 2 teams that we're playing. One of those numbers is wrong. I believe the number that was wrong was the Ohio State laying the 7.5. So I already took Ohio State minus 7.5 against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I would say this. If Ohio State comes out and plays like they have the last two games, and it's over in the third quarter, I can't imagine that's going to open back up at 8 or 8.5, right? Isn't it going to touch 10?
That's kind of the logic, right? That if let's say, that's why I kind of like betting some of these look-ahead lines early, because if you get the outcome you want, if Ohio State wins this football game convincingly, it's 10. Right? It's 10 against Notre Dame, but you're able to get that number early. And if Ohio State loses, I get my money back. So I like taking advantage of some of those look-aheads. I already played the Chiefs minus 4.5 as well against the Chargers next week.
Oh, you did? Okay.
In case the Chargers get through, because I don't think that that's going to be a game where you're going to see that number get down to 3.5 or 3. I think if anything, that's going to go out during the week, and the Chiefs are going to close around a 6-point favorite. So I already played Chiefs minus 4.5 as well.
Okay.
You were on the under last night as well.
I was. Yeah, that was painful.
What were you thinking at halftime?
I actually was sitting at a brewery in Santa Barbara with a buddy of mine and joking about how big of a middle I could have if I wanted to play the second half over. But I was so confident in the under, there's no reason to play the second half over. Man, did I eat those words by like the middle of the fourth quarter. You're like, this is clearly going to be over at this point. It was pretty frustrating.
I saw the second half was like 21 and a half. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. I was with you, right?
Yeah.
I was under 45 and a half. But I'm like, I think it's going to be a repeat of the first half.
Yeah.
And wow, was that a wrong opinion to have?
Both teams, it wasn't explosive plays. You had the one obvious touchdown from Notre Dame where we had multiple players on Penn State fall down. So we got the long touchdown. But outside of that, it wasn't like there was these explosives. It was bad tackling. It was just long drives that seemed to consistently score. Both the offenses did speed up as well. They were getting to the line faster, snapping the ball faster, which is not something I expected, especially in a close game. But, that's it's gambling. Yep. Sometimes you lose games. You feel like you should be winning.
Hockey in a second. Getting ready for Big Game 59. Big deal to match. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using code FTM. Become a VSiN Pro annual subscriber. Bet smarter all year long. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The dog videos, the betting guides, the betting splits from DK and Circa. VSiN.com/subscribe. Promo code FTM. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription today. I think you've hit 4 in a row in hockey. What do you think tonight on the card?
It's been a good stretch. Stretch here. Had a nice plus money on money moves. Had the Sabres last night plus 130. Like one plus money price. Let's go to the Carolina Hurricane here. Laying the goal and a half plus 150. They're at home taking on Vancouver tonight. It's a Carolina team that has just kind of consistently been very good, like we've seen over the last couple seasons. Kind of like them minus a half goal in the first period if you'd rather play that than lay the full goal and a half. But this is a Vancouver team still missing Quinn Hughes. That's a huge loss for him, leading them in points. And it's a Hurricane team that plays very, very good defense. I think this is probably a lower scoring game. I like kind of the Hurricanes 4-1, somewhere in that range, but I do like them laying the goal and a half plus 150. And then let's play a coin flip. The game of the night. The Los Angeles Kings have been playing phenomenal hockey, playing better than what people expected. They're headed in to take on the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets lost 3 in a row. 2 of those were losses that really shouldn't have been losses. When you look at moneypuck.com, I love it for the analytics. They had a chance of winning at over 70% in both games that they lost. Came back, they won last time. They're sitting around even money, essentially. You can get minus 110. I see on a money line here, you can get minus 103 on the Jets. I'll take the Jets at home as a basic pick 'em here when you have, I believe, an advantage in net and offensively. So let's take the Jets minus 110, whatever price you can find. If you get minus 103, that's a great number there. But yeah, Carolina minus a goal and a half, plus 150, and the Winnipeg Jets money line tonight.
All right. Did you say that on the air or off the air about the Avs and the Golden Knights for future bets?
I hosted Money Moves with Stormy on Wednesday. Okay. And we were talking about why not Wednesday. And I said, why not the Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup here, 12-1. I think it's a very good price. I don't think it lasts very long either.
Are they the best team in hockey right now?
No, I don't think. I think the Jets are the best team in hockey right now. Okay. But the Golden Knights and what they've done at trade deadlines, I think you have to factor in. They have been very involved. Last year getting Hurdle and Hannafin. I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and make another move. And they have a good enough team to win against anyone already. And I believe the management will be aggressive. I don't think the 12-1 lasts because of those specific moves they make.
All right. No ponies?
No ponies tonight. No, we're past everything that's actually gone off, so we'll have to come back to it next week.
Fair enough. That was great, Mike. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Mike Samich. His weekend show here on VSiN is called Ready, Set, Bet, Saturday and Sunday nights. Fun week, Paul. Good shows.
Be good.
A lot of bets. Good luck to you as well.
All right. A lot of bets. That's right.
Yeah.
Come on.
Enjoy the games.
Competitive games. VSiN Primetime up next. If you missed anything, go to the website for the podcast, VSiN.com.